Hey, it's Saturday. I thought I'd throw out a quick update. I actually acquired the aluminum a little early for the fixture plate that we saw on last week's video. You can see that I have it scribed out to get it into the capacity of my machine, which is quite small. You can see that this piece, while it looks like it's going to fit, the actual XY travel won't. So I have to cut it down about 0.8 inches to get to even be able to be millable inside my machine. So I'm about to do that. I want to show you what I picked up at McMaster Car as well. There she is. This is a DeWalt metal saw. I've never had a metal saw. I just picked it up today. I saw it on McMaster Car for 200 bucks, and figured I probably could save some money cutting my own lengths and ordering more at a time instead of ordering piecemeal from McMaster Car. That is very expensive. So I will be trying to figure out where to cut with this. Obviously I can't do it in the apartment. The garage at this apartment complex has some outlet power, so I might go down there and see if I can get away with it. But this is just one of the struggles of not having a real shop, having an apartment like this. You can't cut metal in your living room. So I'll update you on the progress there. Okay, so I found a place in the garage of my apartment complex where I probably can do this. It's not something I would do, obviously, in my apartment. And honestly, this thing terrifies me. It's super loud. I've never used it before. I'm gonna give it a shot here. So let's see how it cuts. I think I just blew the breaker. Oops. So that was not a drill. I blew the breaker, and I looked around for quite a bit to try to find where the breaker box was, and I could not find it. So cutting with the DeWalt tonight is out of the question. It's too late here for me to go somewhere else and do it at this point. So I'm going to try to find a different way of cutting it tonight because I'm just impatient. I might put it inside the mill and then, use the in mill to kind of just chop away at it. Okay, so relocated. This is the next day after I blew the breaker in the maintenance room over there. As you can see, this is definitely not my apartment. This is my parents' house. They're fortunately relatively close to where I live, and I'm going to do basically three fixture plate cutoffs here. They're 12-inch bars. I need to make them down to about 11.2 to fit into my machine. Don't worry though, I'm still going to do the adaptive clearing cam on the part that's in the machine that I did last night, just so you guys can see how I would do it if I didn't have access to an alternate location. So let's get sawing, and we'll see how this goes. So I went ahead and I scribed these lines. This is 0.8 in, so on a 12-inch bar, it leaves 11.2 inches. So let's see how it goes. I think I blew another breaker. Oh my gosh. One sec. Okay, so it was just an upstream power strip that tripped. So let's try it again here.
Okay, so here's the cam for the trim operation, and I know it's really janky. I'm sure there's a better way of doing this, but this is what I got. So I can't just do a straight cut because it's gonna cause a lot of chatter. It could bind against the end mill and break it, so I have to remove all the excess material. So in this instance, I modeled up basically the ideal stock, and I've added a sketch here to contain the tool paths, so it just cuts off this end. This is the theoretical actual stock, and then this is the stock I want to leave alone. So from here to the edge of the stock is 1.4 inches, so that's just kind of like a clearance area, and then the actual stock extends 0.8 inches, so I'll be able to cut that off. Now, let me jump over the cam here. So here it is, the cam. You can see right here, the stock sticks out 0.8. I'm going to locate off this corner and then just have the end mill do a few passes at it. My machine's not that fast. This is going to take 21 minutes to carve off basically 0.8 inches, but I did cut with a saw. This is just so I can show what my thought process was here. So let's jump over to the machine and see if it works. This is all ready to go. I'm going to hit cycle start. It's asking me for a tool change. Now let's hope this works. I'm gonna start with a really low feed. It looks like it's coming in okay. Let's see. Yeah. That's a pretty deep cut. I don't know about that. No, handling it. There we go. So I'm not sure you guys caught that, but you saw where I stopped and I went in there. Turns out the parallel that I was using on the back side was pushed too far out, and on that pass it clipped it. It's a miracle the end mill didn't break. I'm so grateful it didn't. That would have been a pain in the butt. But the surface finish, you kind of saw on the front, it had a lot of lingering parts. I mean, it was a mess, but we're just cutting it off. It doesn't matter. Rookie mistake. I'll show you what happened there. That end mill is probably toast. But hey, got through the cut. I have extras. They're cheap off Amazon. That's why you buy cheap tools when you're learning. All right, let's see. It doesn't look horrible. Let's see if I can get you in focus. I'll have to look at it probably out of the holder there, but looks like it's intact. But underneath, you see the parallel right there. That's what it clipped against. I think the parallel is completely fine. I mean, it's a pretty hard piece of metal, but I'll have to look. But man, rookie mistake. Won't do that again. Okay, now the piece is to size. Now I gotta figure out how I'm gonna hold it. I don't know the low profile vices are gonna work on this. And I don't think the 3-inch machinist vise is gonna work either, because it's too tall. So let me play around with it and we'll see how it works. Man, setup is half the battle. Holy crap, that took way longer than I expected, and I committed who knows how many sins on that one. So let me walk you through my setup. Please tell me there's a better way of doing this, but it's my best guess, and I don't know how else I would do it. So here we go. Okay, so the most notable thing that happened in this thing is that I had to go off the back end here to even get it to fit. And something interesting, fun fact, the Saunders Machine Works soft jaws is the same thickness as their fixture plate. So I just sat it there, and when I tightened it down the first time, this thing came loose because it was rotating backwards. That's why you saw it come out. So I put this in there, and it's rock solid now. The other thing that you saw is I was hammering it, and it was rocking. The machinist jack that was under there wasn't the right height, and it was causing it to go back and forth. The reason why I did 1, 2, 3 blocks is because this is exactly 1 inch from this plate, and 1 through 3 blocks are, 1 inch from the plate, so that's why they're down there. I also use these screws as work stops, so when I flip it, I'll know exactly where to locate it, and I won't have to rehome. So that should speed up this entire process. So let me get the cam all sorted and loaded up, and we'll start cutting. So it's many hours after the last clip, and it has been a struggle. You can see behind me, it's finally running. I'm taking a nice little time lapse right there, so that'll be shown soon. But what basically happened was the 11-inch clearance that I thought I had, or over 11 inch, 11.5-inch clearance I thought I had, once I rigged it all up, it just would not travel far enough. I couldn't get enough clearance to probe. I couldn't get enough clearance to even do a edge finder, and that just wasn't going to work. So
I ended up having to redo my model several times and recut another section off, bringing it down to 11 inches. And then I had to redo all the fixturing, redo all the work holding, and that took several hours. So finally did it. It's running. This due to the amount of aluminum removing, this is going to take 5 hours. It can only run at a 0.2 depth of cut with a 8.4 feed rate, and I ran it through multiple calculators, and that's the fastest I can cut this. Really, really slow. So we'll cut over to the time lapse, and I'll see you in 5 hours. That was an adventure. Pretty happy with the part. I think it could have come out a little better on the surface finish on the sides here. You can see some light chatter. I was pushing the machine as fast as I could go, but there's limits. The surface finish on the top feels silky smooth. I know it probably looks like there's a lot of lines and texture, but I mean, to the touch, you can't even feel the difference between those tool marks. Made one mistake when I did the offset for the chamfer. You saw I did it twice. I actually offset off the wrong point. It drilled a little bit into the part, stopped it in time, saved the tool. Did the first chamfer, didn't like how it looked, switched to a bigger 1/4 inch tool and did it again. And it turned out great, really clean, no chatter. Holes are in the proper locations. I went ahead and tapped them already. I have some Mitee Bites right here, so we'll get that fitted in a second, but let's look at where we came from. This is the plate that I was referencing earlier on that I would bolt the part to, and then I would bolt the stock that I was cutting out around it, and then the tool would go around and cut it out. That's why you have this kind of inlay for the tool to travel. Worked okay. There was a lot of chatter, especially towards the end, even with the bolts. The bolts tend to vibrate out, and I had that same issue with this, where these bolts are vibrating out, even with Loctite and duct tape. So definitely happy to be trying a different technique. Here's the stock that we 3D printed earlier for the test fit, so I'll be using that. That will fit right, well, depending on which side we go for, that'll fit like this. And this one will fit like this. And this is actually pretty indicative of what the setup's going to be like. Raw blank. Once the back is finished, you flip it over and you do the top side. The finish, this is one of my first parts that when I was learning how to use CNC, and I put it through a ceramic tumbler to kind of see if it would change the finish, and it did. It really did. Not in a good way, but for the purposes of test fit, it's going to work perfectly. So let's get these Mitee Bites in and see how it fits. I saw these on the Haas channel. I had to get them. They're quick access Allen wrenches. Really convenient. Okay, so I'm not going to snug these down all the way. You can see that they're off center, they're kind of cammed, and I'm putting the thinner side towards the part. That way, when I twist it, it will lock in the part. Get these all aligned. It's a tight fit, but it's not a bad thing. It just has to fit. And there you go. Fits like a glove. Let me tighten this down here. Perfect. I have to say I'm pretty proud of this part. The fit is perfect. The tool will have plenty of clearance here. The Mitee Bites are actually just happen to be exactly as tall as I needed for the clearance here. On the stock side, holds it nice. I couldn't tighten these too much because I'll crush the plastic, but it looks like this is going to work. Worked with a part, worked with this part. I am really happy with this. The only thing I would change is I made it a little too thin when I wasn't trying to center the stock, and these bolts aren't flush, and I want them to be flush so I can just put it right on the table. Probably use Mitee Bites and some pins to hold the thing on the table so I don't have to use a vise, and let it rip. So that's the one thing I'll change. I'm going to just take a little Dremel and cut these down, and then it'll be ready to go. So overall, very happy with this part. It was an awesome weekend working on it. A lot of setbacks, but we do it because of the finished result. So I can't wait for the blanks to come in later this week or next week and get started making these parts. I have a few other chunks of aluminum here. These are for the other fixtures I'm making. Same story. I probably won't bore you on those, but I have to make one for the right motor mount for the Voron 2.4. That's this piece. This other piece will be for the Voron 1.8. Luckily, the motor mounts are the same, so I just need to make one plate. And the last one is just extra in case I mess this one up, which I fortunately did not. So I'll probably make into some other fixture plate down the road. I don't know what yet, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Anyway, it's been one hell of a weekend. I will get this uploaded ASAP. And I can't wait to hear you guys' feedback. Any tips or tricks? If I could have done this better, I really want to learn. I'm all self-taught here, so any advice would go a really long way. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.